Okay, ready? Okay, so the key to like being able to identify these structures that you have to know is to orient yourself first and figure out which one is the right and left ventricle. Okay, that's what's, once you know that, everything else is going to fall into place. And the way to know the right and left ventricle, you look at the thickness of the myocardium, the thickness of the wall. Okay, so first of all, these are the ventricles. So this is the heart closed. This is it. This is it's open. Okay, this right here in the middle, that's that interventricular septum. You don't have to know it, but that's that wall between the two ventricles. Okay, so here and here. This guy is one ventricle, which is the same ventricle on this side, right? And this one is the other ventricle, here and here. Okay, so if you look at it, if you look at the wall here versus the wall just here, which one is thicker? This one is thicker, right? So if this is thicker, this would make this guy, or on this side, this guy, because it's the same guy, your left ventricle, right? Because the left ventricle wall is thicker. This would make this guy the right ventricle. Okay, so therefore, and so from now, you know other things as well. First of all, I mean, the right and left atria, I asked you to take it off, but they would be up here, like all of this white tissue, like it's the very small atria in the sheep heart, but they would be up here. So that would be the left atrium, here would be the right atrium, or like here would be the right atrium, okay? But you don't have to be able to identify it, okay? So left ventricle. So then, well, first of all, before anything else, these heartstrings, okay, those are your chordae tendineae. So whether they're on this side or in here, they're kind of torn apart, but these are the actual chordae tendineae, and they attach to those muscles known as papillary muscles, which you can see this guy here, this guy here. There's a nice one here. If I pull this back, see this guy here? Kind of now you can see how it's finger-like projection. Okay, so that's a papillary muscle. Now, all these other ridges that don't have chordae tendineae attached to them, like, for example, here, let's see, like all these ridges here. So if I'm pointing to muscle that don't have chordae tendineae attached to them, then it's called trabeculae carneae. So all this is trabeculae carneae. Okay, so okay, now this is the left ventricle. These are the chordae tendineae. This structure here that I'm pulling at, that would make this your bicuspid valve. Okay, bicuspid valve, because this is the left ventricle. So then your tricuspid valve, it's kind of torn apart. Oops, but these portions right here is your tricuspid valve. Okay, because that's the right ventricle. Okay. All right, and then, so then your aortic semilunar valve, see this guy here? This looks very much like endocardium, this portion right here. That's your aortic semilunar valve, okay? Because it's within the left ventricle. Now, your pulmonary semilunar valve is like all the way up there. That's why I told you to take it off your list, okay? And I don't think I have, that's pretty much it other than the endo, epi, or really pericardium and myocardium. So here, see how this shiny, all that shiny stuff, that's considered endocardium. I can even pull at it a little bit, endocardium, okay? See how I'm taking it off, endocardium. This is myocardium, okay? And then this is, the most outer layer is like epicardium, but you can't barely see it. And then this whole thing, this fat tissue, that's pericardium. Okay. Now, you don't have to, I think that's all the things you have to actually know, but you could tell. So here, if I'm going up here, okay, this would be your aorta. Okay, this. Oops. All right. And then just for fun, if I go up here, should be able to go through. This would be your pulmonary pulmonary veins, excuse me. Okay, feeding into your left atrium. Okay, so main key is right. Once you know the ventricle, once you can tell which one is right and left, which is just look at the thickness of the wall. If I'm pointing to this, that's just chordae tendineae. If I'm pointing to muscles like this that are close to it, that's papillary muscles. If I'm pointing to this tissue, that's bicuspid valve, right? This valve, the only other structure that looks like tissue that's just sitting there, right? Aortic semilunar valve, because it's in the left ventricle, and pulmonary you can't see up there. Okay.